Have you ever felt like sinking, as if the waves of life were too big? You may be facing problems at work, family, health, or even faith. And you. But today I want to remind you of a powerful truth when Jesus is in the boat, no matter the size of the waves. Imagine the scene. Jesus is with the disciples in the Sea of Galilee, a sea that, although it seems quiet, is known for its sudden storms. The base text is in Mark 4:35-41. Jesus said to the disciples, "Let us move to the other bank." They obey, enter the boat, and leave. But suddenly, Dunzee, a violent storm gets up. The wind blows hard, the waves invade the boat, and fear takes over. How many times does this happen to us? We are walking with Jesus, obeying, trusting, and yet the storms arise. This shows us something important. Being with Jesus is no guarantee of the absence of storm, but it is a guarantee of presence. This divine presence makes all the difference in the midst of the adversities of life. Even when waves seem greater than we can endure, the certainty of Jesus' presence and care gives us the strength to face any challenge. Instead of fading in the face of difficulties, we can support ourselves in the promise of the company of Christ and the hope it brings us. The disciples were used to facing the agitated sea after all. They were experienced fishermen. However, that night something unusual happened. Such a violent storm was formed that their hearts were taken by fear. Despite their skills and water's knowledge, they were powerless in the face of the fury of nature. Imagine the scene. The waves that were once allies in fishing became enemies, invading the boat and threatening the lives of the crew. Meanwhile, Jesus remained quiet, sleeping deeply in the chaos. The situation bordered on despair and unbelieving in the face of the Master's lulling contrast to the storm around. The disciples cried for him with the anguish of those who saw death. "Closely, Master, does not matter that we perish." The attitude of the disciples often reflects our own reaction to difficulties. We question God's care in times of trial, forgetting our sovereignty and power to calm any storm in our lives. Yes, He cares. And more than that, He is on the boat with you. Even when it seems to be silent, He remains in control. Jesus gets up. His eyes overflow compassion as He observes despair in the disciples' faces. The wind blows aggressive. The waves seem to want to swallow the boat. But none of this shakes the absolute serenity of the one who is Lord over all creation. With an authority that transcends human understanding, Jesus addresses the elements of nature and commands silence. Calm down. In an instant, the storm gives in to the voice of the Creator. The wind stops up, and the waves resume their original placidity. A deep silence takes over the environment, and indescribable peace fills the troubled hearts of the disciples. It is a moment of miracle, of revelation of the divine majesty in the midst of human smallness. After this powerful act of mastery over the elements, Jesus turns to His followers and questions them with love. "Why are you so afraid? Don't have faith yet?" These words echo not only on that boat 2,000 years ago, but they resonate to this day in our troubled hearts. They challenge us to trust in the Master of our lives, even when the storms roar around us. After the calm, Jesus looks at the disciples and asks, "Why are you so afraid? You still don't have faith yet?" This question echoes to this day, not because Jesus despises our fears, but because He wants to teach us to trust, even when everything seems out of control. The disciples, astonished after witnessing their Master's supernatural power on the forces of nature, could not contain the mixture of admiration and fear in their heart. He who walked with them daily was now revealed as the Lord about the most indomitable elements in the world. They saw with their own eyes the manifestation of divine power in Jesus Christ. However, even after witnessing the miracle of storm calm, fear still imprisoned their fragile and human minds. Jesus' question was not a severe reproach, but an invitation to deep reflection on the nature of His own faith. "Don't have faith yet." The words resonated softly on the now quiet boat. It was a loving invitation to turn into themselves and seek to understand why the presence of the living God before them was not enough to dispel all apprehension of the heart. It was a call to spiritual growth, maturity in the trust of the one who never fails or abandoning his children. In Christ's question, he echoed not only a reprimand for his momentary fear, but an opportunity to strengthen the bond of faith between master and followers. Just as that night in the brave sea, in which he taught his disciples about the transforming power of trust in him, Jesus invites us today to deposit our complete faith in his divine sovereignty. Recognize who is on the boat with you. Even when Jesus is sleeping, remember he has not lost control. Like disciples, we often see each other in situations where life's adversities seem to threaten to swallow us. We can feel abandoned, helpless, unable to move on. However, the truth is that Jesus never leaves us, even when the storm around us seems to scream the opposite. He is in the boat with us, observing with love every detail of our earthly journey. No matter how high the roar of the waves, how dense is the darkness of the night, or how strong the opposite wind, he remains sovereign and in control of all things. So stop fighting alone. The disciples only found peace and security when they ran to Jesus in search of help and direction. Likewise, we can find refuge and strength as we surrender to his will and fully trust his care. Pray with sincerity, cry out for your divine intervention, and trust your word. Remember the Lord's promises recorded in the scriptures, and know that if he said they would go to the other side, that's exactly where they will, no matter the temporary circumstances around. Learn to have peace in the midst of the storm. This is the true proof of faith. Faith is not just about believing after the sea calms down. It manifests itself in the ability to rest quietly while the storm still roars furiously around us. Or when we deeply understand those with us on the boat, the one whose power was able to calm the sea with a word, we know we are safe under its unshakable protection. If this message spoke to you, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave it here in the comments. Jesus is in my boat. And remember, with him, the storm is never the end. God, it's just the way to victory. Today, Jesus reminds you, no matter the size of the wave, no matter the noise of the winds, no matter the size of the darkness, if Jesus is in the boat, you are safe. The same God who calmed the sea that night is still calming hearts today. Trust. Continue. You will not sink. God is in control of his crossing.